Hello everyone, my name's Lily, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be a wrap-up of all the movies that I watched in the month of May. It's spoiler-free, so that's also a fun thing. And I know this is a little bit late, but I still wanted to do it because I watched a lot of good movies and some interesting ones. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. The first movie was Beauty and the Beast, but not the one you're thinking of. This was a French edition, and it was really weird. From what I've heard about it since watching it, apparently it's very true to the original Beauty and the Beast story, whichever one that is. Like, it was probably written by a couple of dudes like 500 years ago. It was just a really weird rendition of it. Plus, it's French, so you can't really understand it if you don't understand French. Captions are helpful. I watched it on this website called Hoopla, which I can use through my library. They have English audio. It's a very funny way to watch, and it's also a lot nicer than having to read captions the whole time, because it's hard to read and watch a movie at the same time. There were also a lot of puppies. Okay, sorry, my camera's going all over the place. Stay where you are. I would check out IMDb in the Parents Guide for information about what exactly is in the movie. I think it's on the higher end of PG-13, so you might just want to check it out to see if it's something that you are interested in watching. But yeah, it was weird, but it was funny. This makes me really want to go and find the original Beauty and the Beast story, whatever that is. Okay, the next movie that I watched was Lion. This was one of the movies at the Oscars nominated for Best Picture. Picture is another word for movie, for those of us who just really like to live in the past. It's about a boy who gets separated from his family when he's really young, and he kind of has to find his way in the world on his own, and it's really sad. It's based on a true story, and while it was a good movie, I didn't appreciate it as much because the style of it was just something that I don't love. I don't know how to explain it exactly without giving stuff away, but I guess it doesn't matter if I talk about the camera work or anything. You know how in movies sometimes some shots will be like really shaky, and then some will just be still for like 20 minutes. It was shot in that kind of way, and I just didn't really like that very much. Sometimes I got a little bored, but it is a cool story, and all the actors were really good. It was certainly worthy of its Oscar nomination. I'm not sure whether it won anything. I wasn't paying that much attention because I hadn't seen any of these movies before the Oscars. The next movie I watched in May was New Moon, and I'm happy to report that this was just as funny as the first Twilight film, and it was also exactly like the book. I've only read the first two books, so right now I need to go read the third one in order to watch the next movie. Or maybe I'll just watch the movie. I don't know. I don't really want to relive the story twice. And that's all I'm gonna say, because that's all there really is to say. I also watched Sharknado in May. This was not disappointing. So if you haven't heard of Sharknado, it's about a tornado filled with sharks terrorizing Los Angeles. It's just as magical as you might expect. It was a movie made for TV, so already it's going to be less impressive than like a blockbuster film. There is no way that you can take it seriously, but it's so entertaining and so funny. At first I couldn't tell if they knew that they were making a bad movie, but they totally knew, and they like just ride that wave, so to speak. If you don't like violence, you're not gonna like this movie. There's a lot of sharks, and the sharks really like to eat people. So if you don't like that, don't watch it. There are 5 movies in this franchise, and at this point I have also watched the second one, and it was so good. I'm actually gonna put up a review all about Sharknado very soon here, because it was just that. I can't decide whether to say bad or good. The next movie I watched was We Bought a Zoo. This one was also based on a true story, so that's cool. It's about this family who's looking for a new house, and they find the perfect house, but there's a zoo attached to it, so if they buy the house, they have to have the zoo as well, so they just go for it. And it's really great. It's really inspiring, and not to say that I'm gonna go buy a zoo, but in a way, all of us have to go out and buy a zoo at some point. This is a metaphor for life. It was a really funny movie. It was more funny than I was expecting, but it's also filled with a lot of drama. It's supposed to be a family movie though, so it's not that much drama. Matt Damon, Scarlett Johansson, and a bunch of other like big name actors were in this movie, so that was really cool. Okay, we're gonna talk about this one for a little while. This next movie that I watched was Arrival, also an Oscar-nominated film this past year. I still can't decide whether I thought it was amazing or boring. It was kind of both in a way. It's about a linguist who is recruited by the FBI or some other obscure agency when aliens start landing all over Earth and they need someone to try to communicate with them. So that's a cool concept. But it's one of those weird movies and it's really experimental, I feel like. If you've seen Interstellar or Inception, it sort of reminded me of that, but I felt like those ones were better than Arrival. So apparently Arrival won Oscars for Best Sound Editing and was nominated for all of these things. Best movie, best screenplay, best directing, best cinematography, best editing, best sound mixing, very different from sound editing, and it was also nominated for production design. When I really think about it, they did do a good job of all those things, but I was too confused throughout the movie to really appreciate it. It's hard to explain, and I don't want to spoil it because it's one of those that you do not want to have spoiled for you. If you've seen it, I would be really interested to hear what you thought about it. It was unique and it accomplished a lot of interesting new things, but at the end I still had a lot of questions. So I don't know. It was a weird one. The next movie that I watched in May was Everything Everything, which is a book to movie adaptation, and I haven't read the book. I really wanted to read the book first because it's tradition, but there's an advanced screening happening, so we were able to see the movie before it actually came out, and I didn't have time to like cram the book in before seeing it. So although I can't compare the movie to the book, I can say that the movie on its own was really good. Because a lot of times when movies get adapted, it's like either they're really awkward. I feel like it's just really hard to make a good book to movie adaptation. But this one was really cool and there was a lot of creative things in it. Again, I don't know how it compares to the book, but I loved what they did for it as a movie. If you don't know what it's about a girl who is allergic to everything. So she has spent her entire life inside. But then a boy moves in next door and she wants to venture outside and risk it all to be with him. Although it is a little cheesy and a little romancy at times, it was really cute and, like I said, really creative. So that's that. The next movie that I watched was Passengers. I don't know whether this was nominated for any awards because I don't remember seeing it, but here's what it's about. A spacecraft traveling to a distant colony planet and transporting thousands of people has a malfunction, and 2 passengers are awakened 90 years early. Yeah, that's heavy. It was really eerie and surprisingly awesome. I really want to be on that spaceship. I don't want to say too much about it because it was really fun to be surprised by the whole story, and the trailer really doesn't give very much away, so that was cool too. There's so much more to it than you might expect. I didn't think it was going to be anything too special, but it was really cool. This is another one that you might want to check on IMDb or Common Sense Media before you go and watch it. If you're younger, like young like me, just because it has a couple scenes that might be worth skipping over. But yeah, we have 3 more movies to go. The next one that I watched in May was Me Before You. I read the book last year. It's about a guy named Will and a girl named Louise, and Will was in an accident and paralyzed from the neck down, and Louisa's looking for work, so she becomes his caretaker. It's a romance, but it's also funny, but it's also really sad, so prepare yourself for a roller coaster of emotions. It's exactly like the book, which is really cool. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. The next movie was called Joy. So I had heard people saying that Joy was a cool movie. So I was like, okay, that'll be great. And I didn't know what it was about, but I was like, it's probably about joy. Duh. Turns out it's based on the life of the woman who invented the self-ringing mop. Her name is Joy. It ended up being really emotional. If you're expecting to feel joy because of the title of this film, you might want to rethink that a little bit. After I finished watching the movie, I looked up this lady because it said the movie was based on a true story, so I always like to find out how much of it was actually true and how much of it was just, you know, like dramatization. And I found out that the movie was not very accurate. It felt dramatized, and turns out it was a little bit, but Jennifer Lawrence's acting was really, really good. The story was interesting, but it was really intense, so I feel like this movie was kind of misleading. Of course, I did not read the synopsis, so I don't know what they said in that. Maybe they make it really clear what this movie is about, and I just skipped over that, so I didn't realize. So yeah, it's not a happy movie, but it's kind of a, I don't know what to call it. You should probably just watch it for yourself. Alright, now the last movie I watched in May was called Pan, which is exactly what you might think. It's a Peter Pan retelling, or should I say a Peter Pan prequel. Where did Peter Pan come from? How can he fly? I don't know. Let's find out. This movie came out in 2015, so not too long ago. It was kind of crazy, and I wish it had been longer. I feel like we kind of just skimmed over everything, where it had a lot of questions still at the end. I don't know whether there's a sequel. I don't know whether they were intending to make a sequel, because if that was the case, then they were probably saving certain information for the next movie so that they didn't totally run out. But I ended up really liking this movie because it was just fun. It was silly. They did pack a lot into a short amount of time. I think the movie was only like an hour and a half long, so I wish it had been longer and I wish there was more information, but I did like all the information that I was given. I'm making this sound like an educational movie. It wasn't. It was just really funny. Those are all the movies that I watched for the first time in the month of May. I'm excited about the idea of talking about movies more on my channel. Books are more of a hobby for me, and movies are more of like an education thing because I'm studying filmmaking myself. So that's all. If you've watched any of these movies, let me know what you thought about them. Be sure to like this video before you leave and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Thank you very much for watching, and you'll see me next time. Bye.